Hello everyone, and welcome back. Before we begin our journey today, you might notice something unusual. The captions for this video are not available. It is not an accident. It is a quiet reminder of how precious original stories are, especially when they explore ancient mysteries, forgotten worlds, and the unanswered questions that keep us wide awake at night. So let us step into today's exploration with a bit more intention, listening closely, paying attention, and treating every detail as a clue. In a world overflowing with information, it is easy to forget how fragile a story can be. When the creator tells viewers that captions are disabled, it is not just a technical note. It is a deliberate choice that reflects a deeper concern. It means the content you are about to hear carries a personal voice, a crafted narrative, and a layer of meaning that deserves to be protected. And before we dive into ancient enigmas, this moment of awareness helps set the tone. What you are hearing is not just data, it is a guided journey through mysteries that have survived thousands of years. Imagine listening to a tale passed down through generations. The storyteller leans closer, lowers their voice, and asks you to pay attention, not because the story is fragile, but because it is valuable. That is the atmosphere created by this small message about captions. It draws us into a more intimate kind of discovery, where every description, every place name, and every strange detail must be absorbed by ear, not skimmed by eye. And maybe that is the perfect way to begin a video about things we still do not fully understand. From forgotten structures carved into mountainsides to artifacts that hint at knowledge beyond their age. These mysteries are not meant to be rushed through. They ask us to listen deeply, question freely, and recognize how easily the past can be distorted when taken out of context. As we begin today's exploration of ancient puzzles that defy simple explanations, take this small technical limitation as an invitation. Slow down with me. Let the words guide your imagination. Let curiosity be your map. And most importantly, let us honor the idea that stories, especially those pulled from the edges of history, deserve to be experienced with patience, respect, and a sense of wonder. Ready? Then let us step into the first mystery together. Continuing from the quiet warning at the start of the video, Idea 2 points us towards something bigger happening behind the scenes. The growing presence of automated systems, bots silently traveling across the internet, collecting words, voices, and entire narratives. And for creators who spend hours shaping a story, this is not just a technological curiosity. It is a genuine concern. In a way, it almost mirrors the mysteries we are about to explore. Think about it. Ancient civilizations left behind symbols, structures, and fragments of knowledge, only for later generations to misinterpret them, twist them, or repeat them without understanding. Today, something similar happens in the digital world. Automated systems can gather a creator's voice, copy it, and scatter it elsewhere without context, intention, or permission. What once felt like a personal expression risks becoming a hollow echo. That is why the creator's note matters. It reminds us that every story has an owner, every sentence has a heartbeat behind it, and every narrative carries the fingerprint of the person who shaped it. Disabling captions becomes a way of placing a small protective gate around something handcrafted. It is not about hiding information, it is about preserving authenticity. And strangely, this modern issue sets a fitting stage for a journey through ancient puzzles. Just as we try to piece together what long-lost societies truly meant, today's storytellers also struggle to preserve meaning in an age where information can be duplicated faster than it can be understood. It is a reminder that creation, whether it is a monolith carved thousands of years ago or a 4-hour documentary about forgotten wonders, deserves care. So as we continue deeper into the mysteries of the past, let this thought linger. Some things are worth guarding. Some stories need protection. And sometimes, the most surprising mystery is not buried under earth or stone, it is happening right now, in the way our digital world handles the stories we treasure. It is one thing for automated systems to gather information. It is another thing entirely when they begin taking someone's carefully shaped storytelling and repeating it elsewhere, as if it were their own. When the creator mentions that their scripts were being copied, it is more than a technical issue. It is a human one. Imagine spending hours crafting a narrative, choosing each word, building suspense, arranging ideas so they flow like a guided path through time, only to see that same work appear in places you never intended. Not transformed, not credited, not appreciated, simply duplicated. In a way, it is a strangely modern version of an ancient problem. Throughout history, stories have been retold, reshaped, or borrowed without permission. Legends traveled across oceans and deserts, often losing their original voice along the way. But at least back then, the retelling came from people flawed, emotional, interpretive beings who added, changed, or misremembered because they were human. The copying is mechanical, silent, instant. A script can be taken in seconds, stripped of the personality and intention behind it, and reused by systems that never pause to think about the effort that went into it. There is no respect, no interpretation, no curiosity, only extraction. And that is what makes this detail important in the context of a video about mysteries. Here we are, preparing to explore ancient puzzles that survived thousands of years. Yet in the digital present, even a creator's spoken word struggle to survive a single upload without being duplicated. It adds a quiet layer of meaning to the entire viewing experience. That the stories we tell, whether they are carved into stone or uploaded into the digital sky, are always at risk of being taken, misunderstood, or detached from their original storytellers. So as we step deeper into the unknown, remember this: preserving a story is its own kind of mystery, and in today's world, its own kind of battle. When the creator chooses to disable captions, it is not simply an inconvenience or a minor setting turned off. It is a deliberate act of protection. Originality is fragile. It can be shaped carefully over days, weeks, even months, yet lost in a moment when copied without context. By disabling captions, the creator is not closing a door on viewers. They are closing a door on the quiet, unseen forces that take without asking. It turns the video into something you must truly listen to, something you must be present for, something that is not as easily harvested by the automated world. And surprisingly, this fits the atmosphere of ancient mysteries more than we might expect. Think of old temples, caves, and ruins hidden deep in forest places, built with intention, protected by walls, rituals, and secrets not meant for every passerby. Knowledge, in many ancient cultures, was not simply handed out. It was safeguarded, preserved, shared with care. In today's digital age, that kind of protection seems almost old-fashioned. But maybe that is why it feels poetic here. A creator discussing forgotten civilizations, unexplained structures, and lost technologies is, in their own modern way, doing what ancient builders once did, placing meaning inside something and guarding it from being taken or misused. It also subtly invites the viewer into a more personal relationship with the story. When you can skim through captions, you are drawn to the rhythm of the narration, the pauses, the emphasis, the tone. The message becomes something you experience instead of something you extract. So as we move deeper into the mysteries of the ancient world, keep this parallel in mind. Whether thousands of years ago or today, the most meaningful knowledge often needs a guardian. And sometimes, protecting a story is the first step to truly understanding it. If someone takes the step of disabling captions, it usually means the problem did not appear overnight. The creator has already faced the quiet frustration of seeing their carefully crafted words appear in places they never intended. That unspoken backstory adds an emotional weight to the viewing experience. Imagine pouring your energy into shaping a narrative, researching, refining, rewriting, and then performing it so it carries the right mood. Every line is intentional. Every transition is placed with care. And then, one day, you stumble upon a different video, post, or article using your own words, but without your voice, your tone, your meaning. Just taken, detached, reused. It is not simply about ownership, it is about seeing something personal become impersonal. That is the feeling behind this decision. It suggests the creator has already seen their work drift away from them, repurposed by individuals or systems that do not understand the effort behind it. And in a sense, that mirrors how many ancient stories were lost or rewritten throughout history. Entire cultures left behind carvings or texts, only for later societies to copy, reinterpret, or even claim them as their own. Knowledge, across all eras, is vulnerable. It can be shared, celebrated, or stolen. And when someone creates a long, immersive deep dive into ancient mysteries, a project built with passion they naturally want to protect from being reduced to raw material for someone else. So this small act of disabling captions becomes a symbol of a much larger struggle, the challenge of preserving meaning in a world where duplication is effortless and often invisible. And as we continue our journey through forgotten temples, puzzling artifacts, and stories carved into stone. This idea quietly grounds us in the present, reminding us that even today, storytellers face their own battles to keep their voice intact. Behind this seemingly simple choice, turning off captions, lies something much more personal, a clear signal that the creator deeply values the integrity and ownership of their work. And honestly, in a digital world where content travels faster than intention, that value becomes more important than ever. When someone spends days or weeks crafting long-form stories about ancient mysteries, they are not just assembling information. They are shaping an atmosphere, weaving emotions into facts, building tension, choosing the right metaphors, pacing each reveal. The script becomes part research, part artistry, part personal expression. It is not interchangeable. It is not a template. It is a voice. Protecting that voice is a form of self-respect, and also respect for the viewers. Because when the creator guards their intellectual property, they are also ensuring that the audience hears the story as it was meant to be told. Not diluted, not altered, not reassembled by systems or channels that did not put in the emotional labor behind it. And that is especially meaningful in a genre centered around the unknown. Ancient mysteries require a delicate balance. Enough imagination to evoke wonder, enough research to stay grounded, enough restraint to stay responsible. Lose that blend, and the story loses its soul. What is fascinating is how this echoes practices from centuries past. Many ancient cultures took knowledge seriously. Some guarded teachings behind temple walls. Others entrusted them only to specific groups, and some encoded them in symbols meant to be understood gradually. Knowledge was not just information. It was identity. It was heritage. In the same way, today's creators carry their own form of heritage. Their style, their voice, their way of interpreting the world. Protecting it is not about hiding. It is about honoring the work that went into it. So while the choice to disable captions may seem small, it quietly communicates something important. That storytelling still matters, and that even in the age of endless digital replication, originality is worth fighting for. As we move deeper into the creator's reasoning, Ho7 opens up a more introspective layer, a genuine concern about how automated systems might take their work and repurpose it in ways that strip away intention, nuance, and emotional meaning. It is not paranoia, it is awareness, a quiet recognition that the digital world is evolving faster than the safeguards around creative work. Think about what it means for a creator to spend hours shaping a narrative, only to realize that a machine could pull it apart in seconds. Automated systems do not feel the weight of a sentence. They do not understand the atmosphere behind a pause. They do not sense the quiet emotional current running through a story. They simply extract, rearrange, replicate, and sometimes distort. This concern becomes especially relatable when the topic of the video is ancient mysteries, tales of cultures whose stories were lost, misread, or rewritten across time. In a way, the creator's modern struggle mirrors a timeless pattern. The guardians of old knowledge worried about misinterpretation. Today's storytellers worry about misappropriation. Different eras, Same challenge. Keeping meaning intact. The creator's hesitation about automated misuse also shows a respect for the audience. They want you to hear their voice, not a filtered version, not a scrambled copy, not a fragment floating around disconnected from context. They want the experience to be intentional, personal, grounded in the care they put into every line. And maybe that is why this small technical decision at the beginning of the video matters so much. It sets a tone. It tells us that the stories ahead are not disposable. They are not meant to be lifted, dissected, or fed into content mills. They are meant to be experienced slowly, thoughtfully, with the trust that the voice guiding you has something genuine to say. So as we continue our journey through puzzles buried under centuries of silence, this moment reminds us, even today, storytellers still have to protect their truths not from time, but from technology. There is something meaningful about the fact that this message, this quiet warning about captions and protection, appears right at the start of the video, before any ancient ruins, before any mysterious structure, before any theories or enigmas. The creator pauses to acknowledge something important. It is almost like taking a deep breath before entering a forgotten temple. A moment of grounding. Placing this message at the beginning shifts it from a technical note to a kind of threshold. It becomes the doorway you step through before the journey unfolds. It prepares the viewer not just to watch, but to listen, to be present, to understand that what follows is not simply information scattered across a timeline. It is a crafted experience the creator wants you to absorb directly, without automated filters or silent digital intermediaries. In many ancient stories, beginnings were sacred. Travelers paused at the entrance of a cave or temple, acknowledging the boundary between the ordinary world and the unknown. In a way, the creator is doing something similar here, before taking you into 4 hours of unexplained structures. Lost civilizations, and artifacts that challenge our assumptions. They ask for your attention not out of fear, but out of respect for the story ahead. It also subtly invites a deeper emotional engagement. When the first thing you encounter is a creator's attempt to protect their work, you naturally feel more connected to the voice behind it. It is a reminder that a real person crafted this experience for you, not a machine, not a random algorithm, not a repost. A human narrative is about to unfold, and that makes every moment that follows feel more intentional. Every mystery becomes more vivid. Every detail feels chosen. Every discovery feels like it carries part of the creator's passion. So the message at the beginning does not interrupt the story, it sets the stage. It marks the boundary between everyday scrolling and a carefully guided exploration into things the world still does not fully understand. The absence of captions is not just a small inconvenience for the audience, it becomes part of the atmosphere of the entire experience. 19 reminds us that viewers must rely entirely on the creator's voice, pacing, and storytelling, and in a strange way that transforms the video into something closer to an old oral tradition than a typical modern documentary. Without captions, you can skim, you can jump ahead, you can glance down to catch up. You have to listen the way ancient listeners did when stories were shared around fires. in temples, or in gathering halls. Every word becomes a ripple in a quiet lake. Every pause carries weight. Every shift in tone becomes a guidepost. This forces a kind of immersion that written text can never fully replicate. The viewer is not reading an explanation. They are following a voice through forgotten landscapes, through ruins buried under dust, through mysteries carved into stone. It is more intimate, more human, more rooted in the natural rhythm of speech. And perhaps, without captions, the mysteries being explored feel even older. We are used to captions giving us clarity, clean lines of text, precise timestamps, easy reference. But the ancient world was not clean or simple. Knowledge was passed from memory to memory, often imperfectly, often fading at the edges. And that is exactly what this format lightly echoes. It is a reminder that the past rarely hands us complete scripts. The absence of text also amplifies the creator's presence. You hear their emphasis, their wonder, their curiosity. You hear the slight shifts in their voice that hint at excitement or disbelief. Instead of reading their thoughts, you are experiencing them. So while having no caption might feel limiting at first, it becomes a narrative choice, intentional or not, that wraps the entire documentary in a sense of timelessness. It makes the journey feel less like reading a record and more like stepping into a story being told directly to you, carried only by sound, just as mysteries once traveled across centuries. Here, Idea 10 brings the final balance into view, the trade-off between accessibility and protection. On one hand, disabling captions means some viewers lose a helpful tool for understanding. But on the other, it becomes a shield, a necessary barrier against automated systems that might extract and misuse the creator's work. And this tension sits at the heart of many modern creative decisions. It is not an easy choice. Captions make content more inclusive. They help people with hearing difficulties, non-native language learners, late-night viewers, and anyone who simply prefers reading along. Removing them creates a small distance. Yet, in a digital environment where scripts can be lifted effortlessly, without credit, without permission, without context, sometimes a creator must choose preservation over convenience. And strangely, this mirrors the core theme of the documentary itself, that knowledge, whether ancient or modern, often survives because someone decided to protect it. The builders of forgotten temples used stone to guard their teachings. Scholars hid scrolls deep in caves. Civilizations carved warnings into rock faces high above the reach of water or invaders. They preserved what mattered, even if it meant limiting who could access it easily. The creator's decision is a modern echo of that same instinct. It says, "This story deserves to remain whole. This voice deserves to stay mine. This narrative deserves not to be hollowed out and repackaged elsewhere." And for viewers, the absence of captions becomes a subtle reminder. Some stories require presence. Some experiences ask for attention. Some knowledge demands to be heard, not lifted. In the end, this limitation does not diminish the journey, it enhances its intention. it casts a protective shadow around the 4 hours of mysteries that follow, allowing the creator's voice to remain true, unaltered, and entirely their own. And now, as our journey through these 10 reflections gently comes to an end, everything falls into place like pieces of an ancient mosaic. What started as a simple note about disabled captions revealed something much deeper, a quiet story behind the story, a creator protecting their voice, a modern struggle mirroring ancient patterns, a reminder that even today, meaning can be fragile and must sometimes be guarded with intention. Across these ideas, we have seen how creativity, authenticity, and human storytelling still matter in a world buzzing with automation. We have felt how a single message placed at the very beginning of a video becomes more than a technical detail. It becomes a threshold, a moment that invites viewers to slow down, to listen, to appreciate the craft behind every word. And maybe that is the beauty of this entire exploration, that, before we even step into the mysteries of lost civilizations and unexplained artifacts, we are reminded that the act of storytelling itself is something worth protecting, that a voice honest, human, intentional is still one of the most powerful tools for shaping how we understand the unknown. So thank you for walking through this reflection with me, for listening closely, for staying curious, for honoring the craft behind each line. The mysteries waiting in the ancient world will always be fascinating. But sometimes, the quiet mysteries behind the creation of a story are just as meaningful. If you are ready for more explorations like this, filled with wonder and the thrill of discovery, keep following along. There are countless worlds still waiting for us, carved in stone, buried in archives, or whispered across time. Until next time, stay curious and take care.